Hello, everyone. Good morning and happy Thursday, February 9th. My name is Shelby Phoenix. I'm a yoga teacher and life coach, and I help you overcome fear and self-doubt so you can find unshakable self-trust. Joined by Danni Schaust. Danni is an experienced climate professional, yoga teacher, and the founder of Dharma with Danni. Just finding her here really quick. She believes her Dharma, or mission in life, is to empower people and the planet, both on and off the yoga mat. Dharma with Danni works at the intersection of climate and personal resilience, empowering climate professionals to prioritize their mental health, as well as equipping everyday folks with the knowledge and pathways to address climate change in their communities, centering personal resilience and wellness every step of the way.
Hey, Shelby.
So
Thanks for
without
having
further
me.
ado, I would like to welcome Danni. Of course, thank you so much for joining us. Sending you gratitude for taking the time to be here today. Before we dive into the interview, I like to start this time
Absolutely.
together by having us take some grounding breaths. Is that okay with you? All right. And anyone else who's listening now or later, you're invited to join us in some deep breaths as well. So settle into your seat. If it feels safe to close your eyes, or else just take a soft gaze. And empty all the air out of your lungs with your belly. Begin to inhale through your nose, filling up all the way to your collarbone. And then letting all the air out to your mouth. Another deep, full belly breath in, just like that, through the nose. And let it all go. One last deep grounding breath. Inhale, biggest breath of the day so far. And get completely empty. And whenever you're ready, come back to this space. Open your eyes.
Awesome.
Hi, Maddie. Maddie's going to be with us next week.
Good. How are you?
So, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. Where are you located
Southern
in the world
Indiana.
again? I don't remember.
There have been to Indiana. So we're in the very tip of the state. I'm an hour from Kentucky, if that tells you anything. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fairly warm for
What's
a
the
winter
weather like
day,
where you're
but it's
at right
super
now?
windy. Falling out of trees and all of that fun stuff. What about you?
It's actually pretty nice. It's about 40 degrees, so that is very warm because just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we had negative 40-degree weather here.
It was like
so
summer.
49 feels like really bland. And also, you have a little buddy nearby,
luckily
right?
Entertained at the moment, but she's 8 weeks old. Her name is Stevie, after Stevie. And yeah, she's playing with a puzzle feeder, so she will probably run over
maybe we'll
and
get
start nibbling on my socks.
So well, the first thing I'd like to start off with is giving you the opportunity to introduce yourself
she,
and
her
your
pronouns.
business.
And I'm the founder and CEO of Dharma with Danni. So what I feel my Dharma or mission in life is to empower people and the planet, both on and off the yoga mat. And the way that I do that is that I help people going through burnout, deal with their personal resilience, right? Start to heal some of those wounds and recover, and then helping everyday folks who might feel overwhelmed or
Mm-hmm.
kind of unsure of where to start working on climate change find their personal climate action plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I remember, I don't know how long ago it was, but we connected. I think I asked you to do a market research interview or something. And the reason that I was like attracted to your energy and your like what I could see on your Instagram page was that I could see that you were a yoga teacher with a mission. And I had never heard of another yoga teacher who specifically was working in the intersection of like yoga and climate change. So I'm wondering
Great
how this
question.
all came to
Yeah,
be. How did you
I
bring
would
these things all
say
together?
so I've been in the environmental field for almost 15 years. Started like a paper recycling program at my high school. I'm that kind of person. So always been kind of like nerdy and interested in this stuff. Went to college for it, right? Was totally on that trajectory of like, I'm going to work for a nonprofit or local government or a business and like help them be more green. And I've been doing that over the years, but the field of sustainability and climate change has really become more and more important, right? As we see all of this, like, frankly, frustrating and stressful news about where we need to be globally and how far from that mark we are. And so there's more and more pressure put onto existing professionals in my space that we have to do more with like not enough resources and not enough people. And so I found myself in like late 2017, early 2018, just feeling totally burnt out. I was in the middle of school, working multiple jobs, like trying to help other people by helping myself get some more education. And I was just so burned out that I was like seriously contemplating leaving the field and becoming a bartender full time and being like, I give up, I'm done. This is awesome. And practicing yoga at that point for about 5 or 6 years. You know, had a personal practice, really loved it. I was all about hot yoga at the time, and really found that it was the thing that was helping me heal myself and stay in this, right? Like stay in this fight to make the world a better place. And I just got more and more into my yoga. I actually, during 2020, obviously kept practicing online because of the pandemic, but I took like what I would call like a mini teacher training. It was not a teacher training, but it was sort of like the precursor to it. Because I'm starting to realize how much of the ethics of my yoga aligns well with the ethics of caring about the environment and caring about people. And so I came out of that summer like, I'm becoming a yoga teacher when this thing is over. Like, I'm doing it. And so in 2021, I like made my down payment and I went for it. I became a yoga teacher. And during that process, it was kind of at like a decision point again. I had kind of dealt with a lot of the root issues I was dealing with and more or less had healed my burnout, but had realized that my industry just wasn't there. Like it wasn't caught up to work-life balance and ethical payment across the board, right? And I realized we need to fix this in order to keep people in this and bring more people in to the conversation. Because we don't all need to be like government sustainability managers, right? We don't all need that job, but we need everybody doing their part, whatever that's like. And so I realized I needed to become a yoga teacher and I was wanting to teach yoga. I realized the combination of my ethics there was a population of folks who would really benefit from these tools. And so I just started kind of like hiking and thinking about ideas and then realized I was building a business like right as graduating teacher training.
Yeah. It's funny how that
I'm like, great.
That happens.
Didn't
like,
set
oh
up
yeah, this is a business. All right.
Yeah, I don't have no business background. I was like, do I know what I'm doing? We'll find out.
When we met the first time, you, I believe, were still in your career working in that field, and you were kind of like preparing for your transition. Like you had taken some action steps to like get yourself closer to that goal. So, and there was one thing you said in the first meeting, and it was like a conversation you had with someone where it was like, you either have to choose between your like passion for climate change or your like health and yourself and like, you know, being fully human. Like, and you were like, I don't accept that. Like, I can have both.
Basically, what was said to me was, you need to decide if your passion for this work outweighs your self-preservation. And I was just stunned and floored by that statement.
Yeah.
But what it did is it really spurred me into action to realize, like, I need to get serious about this business because this is a systemic problem. I know but in lots of other industries, right? With nurses and healthcare, with teachers and education, right? Like, we do not have realistic work expectations for people. And in order for us to not all just like rage quit our jobs, we need to work on our personal boundaries and our personal wellness. So coming up, because we can't all quit our jobs, right? So I realized the need, and I got serious about it. I started working with a mentor of mine to actually like build my business and get that foundation in place. And then I left my full-time job in December of last year. Thanks. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Congratulations. How does that feel?
Honestly, it feels really
How
good.
Does it feel? It's still very new.
I have a couple like part-time positions that all align with my values and what I'm trying to do, but it gives me that freedom, that flexibility to really focus on the work that I feel I'm meant to be doing here on Earth. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah. I think the words freedom and flexibility are like across the board. Like just things that are so missing from our lives. And yeah, like teachers and nurses and all of this. Like I have had similar conversations to the one you had where I was like, okay, nothing's changing here. So if I want to make an impact, I have to build something myself.
I knew there were a lot of yoga teachers out there, right? We know this. But I knew that the reason someone would maybe want to work with me, right, is because they too were dealing with burnout, or they too cared about the environment and wanted to do something. Doesn't matter what it is, but they may not know where to start. And so I knew that I could really be of service in that kind of intersection. Because it's going to be like probably coming up with a new modality of yoga that I can't envision that at this moment. I'm probably the founder of climate yoga, or something. I'll let you know if I do. I kind of what I realized I can be of service, right? And just help people where they are, wherever they are in their journey with yoga, climate, or both.
Right. So the climate industry, from an outsider perspective, is very unique, you know, similar to some of the other fields we described where there's that like burnout and pressure and like maybe not the respect or pay that's deserved to compensate for that. But in the industry you were in, it feels like that might be amplified just because it's like the biggest, it's like the whole earth. It's a big problem. Like as a climate professional or someone who's working in that field still to, you know, make a contribution and an impact, like outside of the work, just like the concept of like trying to empower the planet, how do you
I guess
and how does it
so I think
feel?
you started to say, you were talking about like pay equity right within the field. I think part of it is like getting comfortable, especially as like I am a cisgender white woman. I understand I have some privilege there, but there are a lot of men in the field as well. And so getting comfortable of like advocating for what I know my worth is when I'm like pitching myself to clients, right?
Yeah.
Like this is my hourly rate or this is my project rate, and being about it. I'm always flexible to some extent, but just knowing what I'm worth and not being afraid to ask them, and know that I can walk away from something. And if it's not a good fit, then it's not a good fit, right? Like saying no to someone used to scare me, but as I've gotten better at it, I've learned that saying no to that one person that's not the right fit is going to open the door to like this amazing opportunity that I could have never taken if I had said yes to the other opportunity. And I think the second part of what you're asking, what I heard you ask is like, how do I envision finding this balance and still making an impact? Is that what you were asking? Yeah. So I guess what I have kind of learned because of my yoga, and because of my personal burnout healing process, is that there's this feeling of, and I know this is not just my industry, but I can only speak to my lived experience. There's this feeling that I guess we all feel in our jobs, whatever they are, in climate change and sustainability, that like, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, we're not going to meet our goal of like solving the climate crisis. Like we have this in our minds. I don't know if it's because of like capitalism or the way that our like educational system is set up, but we have this idea that we have to be the one to solve climate change. And if we're not working as hard as possible at all times, and when I started to step back and like untangle that web and mess in my own head, I realized that's capitalism, that's white supremacy, that's colonialism, and it's also the ego, right? And so much ego is like realizing what's your job to do and what's not your job to do. Like I know that I am not meant to do certain jobs within this field because I just don't have the skills. That doesn't mean I'm lesser than. It means I have a different skill set and way to reach people and get them motivated to action. So I've learned it's my job to do my part, but also motivate others. Yeah. The ripple effect, exactly. I explain this to people all the time. Like, that, like I do one thing that motivates one person and then 5 people and out from there, because I cannot solve the climate crisis by myself. You know, can't do it, but we can all do our part and put the pressure on the institutions to do better as well.
Yeah. And I see, I was an art teacher, and in kids at a certain age, they get scared to make anything because they think it's not going to be perfect. Like, and if it's not going to be perfect, what's the point of even putting the pen to paper at all? And I can see that in like a bigger picture, like if I can't solve the problem perfectly or work the hardest, then like what's the point of doing anything?
We call it, in climate change and sustainability, we call it like that kind of gloom and doom. It's not climateism, but it's almost like that. Well, the problem's so big, like, let's not even try. Like, we can't do anything. And to me, that's not the solution. Yeah. Like, we have to do whatever we can in our sphere of influence, knowing that we're not going to be the one to maybe make the only thing that needs to happen, but that if we all do that piece, it's going to get us even closer. And we need to do what work that we're here to do, whatever that is, no matter how hard or easy it is from day to day. And so that's where, again, those like personal resilience tools come in. Even if you're not in burnout, right? Like you still need to be doing your self-care, not just the bubble baths, but like therapy and the walk and the doctor's appointments and like taking a nap, for Christ's sake. Like, go take a nap, people.
Yeah. I was curious.
So for me,
what does personal resilience mean to you?
It's making sure that not any one aspect of my life is taking over. So I kind of jokingly call myself a recovering workaholic, but because there's a lot of truth to that I used to be so hyper focused because of the field that I was in and because of just who I am as a person, like a very heart-centered, mission-focused person. I would work 40, 50, 60, sometimes like 70-hour weeks, and everything else would fall by the wayside, right? Like I wouldn't get the basic human tasks done around my home, but I also was just exhausted and not sleeping well and not working out and just like anxiety attacks. I used to have panic in a previous job in the bathroom. I'd have to like go in the bathroom, have a little panic attack, do my box breathing, and then back in. And I was just like, this is not sustainable. For me, it's keeping everything in balance, not going for perfection, but just sort of like checking in with myself constantly of, have I been doing those basic Maslow's hierarchy of needs? And then working my way up to, what do I need to feel joy and hope beyond just like productivity?
Yeah. And like, I think part of like this like capitalistic point of view is like you need to do your best all the time, but your best is different depending on where you are in the hierarchy, right? Like if you're at the very bottom, like making some toast and crawling back under the covers might be like a really good job. Like
I mean,
but if you're at the top,
I speak to this in my yoga classes too, right? It's like you might show up one day to like a vinyasa class, right? And you're like, I am feeling so good. I did every pose. I did one breath, one movement. I took the like harder option. And then the next day you might like come back, you know, later that week and just like didn't sleep well, had a hard day at work, whatever. And like you just lay in child's pose for 20 minutes and like, really good job. Because we have to listen to our bodies. And we don't listen to that embodied wisdom. And that's what gets us so often, I think, out of balance.
Yeah. And I think maybe part of that too is like in our culture where it's so normal to be, you know, your productivity is your worth. If you're resting, if you're in child's pose, you know, you might be the only one. You have to like, you know, kind of go against the grain a little bit to
it really does.
Your rest, and that that takes a lot of courage,
like especially my yoga students, that like I'm going to tell you to do all these things, try to guide you, but I say that almost every one of my classes, you are your own best teacher, you and your body. I'm just here to guide you and give you some options. You can take any resting shape. I always say you are the expert of your own body. To me, it's just like giving people permission. Like I've had so much feedback in the past, you know, almost 2 years I've been teaching since I graduated, and people will come up to me so often and just say like, I've never had permission before to just like do what I do. And so I try to give them that permission. And then I also in yoga classes will try to do like a flow on your own portion where we build like a flow together. And then I say, okay, I'm going to shut up. You go do and move your body. And you can always tell new folks to my classes, they're like looking around like, what do you mean? And I've had that feedback from people say like,
what do you mean how?
That I'm worried I'm not doing it right. And so they've started to like unpack that message of like, it doesn't matter if they do it right necessarily, right? Like if it's safe and listening to their body and moving, that's so much more powerful than like doing the 6 poses I just asked them to do.
Right. And well, I don't know, maybe this is a little off base, you let me know, but when I think of like the earth and like the universe and, you know, humans, us, I think of this as all like really connected, right? So how do you think like building your own personal resilience, practicing that self-care and like taking care of yourself can create that ripple effect or that impact on a
And I'm
bigger
sure you've
level.
heard this, right? This phrase of hurt people, healed people, heal people. And so I know that if I'm not doing my yoga, my meditation, like my walks, eating 3 meals a day, which all sound very basic, but if I'm not doing those things, I'm not going to feel the best. I'm not going to be focused. And I'm not going to be able to show up and give my full presence to whomever is in front of me, whether that's the client that I'm working with on a strategic plan, or the yoga student who's like, I want to figure out how to do crow, and they're like kind of embarrassed and unsure to ask. It's like, how do I show up for them by showing up for myself first, so I can have clients, and then honestly, like my husband and my family and like the people I care about around me, because then that gives them their full attention from me,
Right.
and it helps them start to prioritize their own self, right? And it helps us all do the work we're meant to do and find the joy that we're meant to find in this life.
Yeah. How can someone begin to take personal climate action?
That's something
like, where does
I'm
someone
building
begin?
a program right now that I'll be launching next quarter. But I always kind of encourage people to like step back and build like a little Venn diagram or a chart, right? Maybe it's a vision board, whatever, however you're a learner, but kind of building that document and saying like, what am I good at?
Yeah.
Care about, and then combining and finding what's in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And then seeing what skills that you have. I think people often think that they have to like go back to school. You don't have to go back to school to work on climate change, right? But it's finding out what you're already good at. So say for instance, you're like super good at computer coding. Like, could you volunteer for or like work with an organization, you know, that's like cash strapped or working on in the environmental issues, they need to be out in the field. Maybe you could come and say, hey, I noticed your website is a little out of date and I want to help you guys, and I've got this great skill set. Like, how can I help you work on your website? Like, that's just one example, but if you're an educator, right, it's like take the skill you already have.
That's like, I would never have thought
try
of that.
It's, you don't have to like learn all these new skills necessarily. If you want to, you totally can. And then it's just starting where you are in your home. And when I work with folks one-on-one within their homes or businesses, I try to encourage them to like tell me what problem they have in their home. Like maybe they're like, I want to compost, but my kitchen is like chaotic, or like I'm afraid of smell. And like focus on that one big change you want to make, or even one small change you want to make. Maybe it's buying the compost bin, or maybe it's like starting to save your vegetable scraps, putting them in like a Ziploc baggie, freezing them, and then using that to like make vegetable stock, you know, when you get a full bag, or in a compost pile. Maybe you've got a community garden. Like pick the one thing you either really care about already, or the one thing like already a problem for you that you're like, I have all this like trash, and like I want to not have so much trash.
Yeah. So it sounds like thinking like about what skills you have and how you can apply them in a way to, you know, be of service in that area. Breaking things down into like take one small problem that you can fix, and then also like how can you like make your actual life easier?
Like, we think we have to go
at the same time,
live off the grid and never drive a car, and like that works for some people, but I would probably guess that most people are not going to go live off the grid. You know, they're not going to like probably feed themselves like a homesteader. I have friends that do that, and I love them, and I think it's amazing, but I don't think it's practical or realistic for everyone, you know? So why not make some small changes, get that momentum, that habit built, and then go from there, you know? maybe you do decide to get an electric vehicle. There's great tax
Right.
incentives coming from the Inflation Reduction Act soon. Like maybe that's something you want to do and save up money for. But maybe you just want to use like a different kind of dish soap that comes in like a bar, like a bar soap, you know, like a plastic bottle. Like those are all valuable. They're just different.
Right.
It's different scale.
Yes. It's like not only your skills, but I always say this with my coaching clients for their businesses, like what time do you have, what energy, what money do you have? Like you might be able to just donate a bunch of money to a place if that's what you have available to you. And then like your
Yeah.
skills and things like this and how can you apply it to what you want to do. Thank you for that. It's really
You know,
great
if I
advice.
can
I
help.
definitely will have some things to think about. How I will definitely. Is there
Sure.
anything
Yeah.
that you're
So
currently
I am
offering that you
getting
want to
ready
share about?
to launch and take on some one-on-one burnout recovery clients. So whether you're in the sustainability field or you're just, you know, a human who's lived in the world the past 5 years or so and that's like needs some extra support. So I have about 3 months of a program. We'd work together every other week, one-on-one, go through what your trigger and issue areas are, and we'll come up with a plan of action to start getting you back on the right track. So I'm calling it my burnout recovery program. It's really, I'm excited about it. I know that the skills that I've gained to support myself are skills that everybody needs, and that I want to share them with as many people as possible.
Yes, I think that kind of offering is so needed in the world right now because there's just, I think, a chronic,
Yeah.
I don't want to use the word
Yeah.
pandemic, but like an overwhelming amount of burnout in the
Absolutely.
general population. So thank you for putting that out into the world. Is there anything
Good
else you
question.
want to share before
I
we end
guess
this
I'll just
time?
offer to anyone who's listening right now or watching this later, you know, or listening to the podcast later, right? If you are interested in climate change or, you know, you're in the midst of burnout and you want to work together, but you're not really sure, reach out to me. Like DM me, send me a message. We can talk about some strategies. Maybe I'm a good fit, but maybe I can just send you on your path. I want to help, and I want to help people take actionable steps, meeting them where they are. You don't have to go off the grid. You don't have to blow up your whole life. You can take steps today to feel better and make an impact.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I encourage everyone to go follow Danni, say hi, follow along with her journey of entrepreneurship. And I thank everyone for joining Danni and I on yoga, yoga corner chats today. You can find all the information you need to find Danni and what she has to offer in the caption or the show notes of this episode. Don't forget that my friend Jenna and I are currently running a Treat Yourself giveaway where you can win a free coaching session with me and a free Reiki session with Jenna. Don't miss out. All the rules are on my Instagram feed. The Yoga Corner chats replays can be found most places you listen to podcasts. I'm still working on Google Podcasts. Please don't forget to give me a review and subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss out on future Yoga Corner chats. Have an
Yeah, thanks,
amazing
Shelby.
day and chat
Bye.
soon. It was good to chat with you, Danni.